EAC News Special Live, Monday the 28th of August 2023. I'm Anthony Ellis. Cambodian's King, His Majesty Norodom Sihamoni and the Queen Mother now just arriving at the airport where they will go to China for their medical. It happens twice a year. The King and the Queen Mother will go to China to do a medical check. So Cambodia's King, His Majesty Norodom Sihamoni and the Queen Mother Norodom Moninit Sihanouk are departing from Cambodia to China for a health checkup on morning of August 28, 2023. Typically, the King and the Queen Mother go for health checkup in China at least twice a year. Whenever the King departs for China, the President of the Senate assumes the role of the acting head of Senate as per Cambodia's constitution. Say Chum, the current President of the Senate, was served as acting head of the state until the King's return, and their departure for health checkups this morning follows the King's attendance for the first National Assembly meeting, where he presided over the swearing in the Parliament members and the new government officials. Prime Minister Hun Manet will be at the airport this morning to meet, extend his best wishes and bid farewell to the King as he departs for China. Prime Minister Hun Manet became Cambodia's 33rd Prime Minister on August 22, 2023 after forming the government and gaining the national support of the National Assembly members of the same day. So we're just going to cross over to our reporter on site there at the airport. Good morning, Swawap.
Good morning, Anthony.
Yeah, can you just tell us a little bit what's happening at the airport at the moment? The King has just arrived and the Queen Mother at the airport?
No, the King and Queen Mother did not yet arrive at the Phnom Penh International Airport, but we can see that the former Prime Minister Cambodia and also former National Assembly President, former Prime Minister Cambodia Hun Sen, and also former National Assembly President Heng Samrin also arriving here already, and also some delegates that they come to the international airport for to meet with the King and also wish him good luck on the journeys to the China for his health, for His Majesty health checkup in China.
That's right. And as we just mentioned, the King and the Queen Mother go twice a year, and it's just something. It's a routine they've been doing for a long time. So it's not like there's anything serious happening. It's just a routine checkup that they have been doing for quite a long time.
Normally, the King and Queen Mother do the health checkup twice a year in the Republic of China, but it's not the first time they are doing annually every year. And not just our King, but also the former King, Prince Norodom, King Norodom Sihanouk also paid a visit to China every time to check his health, to check up his health every time during his stay in power. So this is like the tradition, also the like the King always to do the health checkup in the Republic of China annually every year. At least 2 times a year that the King and Queen Mother goes to China to have the health checkup. Sometimes they do 3 times or 4 times. But to go to China is not just a health checkup. Also, they build a strong relation with the China as well. You can see. About 2 years ago that the President of China also giving the medals to Queen Mother for her work to promote the relation between Cambodia and China, and the medal was given by the President of China himself in the government palace. So this is the strong relation between these 2 countries. The China is not only just take care to the King of the Cambodia, but also to keep promotion and also welcome to the King of the Cambodia to their country as well.
Yeah. And we actually we're looking at some footage here. So the former Prime Minister Hun Sen and former First Lady is there as well. And did you also say the former President of the National Assembly was there as well?
Yeah, the former president of National Assembly already arriving here as well. He walked at the moment. He walked along with the Prime Minister, the former Prime Minister Hun Sen, to the place there the king will become. And now the king already arrived at the Phnom Penh International Airport, and we can see the delegate prepare for welcome to the king. And so here's the view from the Phnom Penh International Airport for you.
Okay, so at the moment, so the king is will be greeted by the present Prime Minister Hun Manet and his wife, the new First Lady, and also the former. So it's quite a big morning this morning at the airport. So we can just see now the king is now exiting from the car, and will he be greeted by the present Prime Minister and also the former Prime Minister, the Cambodian King, His Majesty Norodom Sihanouk, and the Queen Mother Norodom Sihanouk Sihanouk are departing from Cambodia to China and health checkup on the morning of August the 28th, 2023. Typically, the King and the Queen Mother go for house checkups in China at least twice a year. Whether the King departs for China, the President of the Senate assumes the role of acting head of state as per Cambodia's constitution. So Chom, the current President, and the Senate will serve as acting head of the state until the King's return. Their departure for health checkups this morning follows the King's attendance at the First National Assembly meeting, where he presided over the swearing in of Parliament members and the new government officials. Prime Minister Hun Manet will be at the airport this morning to meet and extend his best wishes and bid farewell to the King as he departs for China. Prime Minister Hun Manet became Cambodia's 33rd Prime Minister on August the 22nd, 2023, after forming the government and gaining the support of the National Assembly members on the same day. Since Cambodia became a constitutional monarchy in 1992, it has had three Prime Ministers, Prince Norodom Ranariddh, Prime Minister Hun Sen, and now Hun Manet, who is the son of former Prime Minister Hun Sen. Over the past 30 years, Cambodia has been three Prime Ministers. The King constantly supports the Prime Minister of Cambodia, such as Hun Manet. He warmly welcomed him, extending congratulations and granting him the title Kete Tisa Pipa Bonit, or Honorary Governor Doctorate of the Royal Academy of Cambodia, signifying a person with deep knowledge and wisdom who leads administration to keep the country prosperous. So like you said, the King is now just greeting all the delegates, the Prime Minister of Cambodia, Hun Manet, and also the First Lady. And then he's now speaking to Prime Minister Hun Sen and the former First Lady. So it's since the former Prime Minister Hun Sen's retired, this seems to be his first outing, an official gathering, and also the former President of the National Assembly, also there to greet the King and the Queen Mother. So the King's return, the departure for health checkup this morning following the King's attendance at the First National Assembly meeting, where he presided over swearing the Parliament and the new government officials. Prime Minister Hun Manet will be at the airport this morning to extend his best wishes. So at the moment, it looks like he's checking. The King's now preaching and talking to the former Prime Minister Hun Sen and the former President of the National Assembly, and And Tia Bun is also there, where it's been kind of the foremost. It's one of the first times the former Prime Minister Hun Sen has attended an official after his retirement of the CPP government, and as Prime Minister. You can see the King now just getting ready to board the plane with the Queen Mother. And now he's also been just greeted by His Excellency Tia Bung. And the member of the Funjisik party also there for an attendance. It looks like the king, the Cambodian's king, His Majesty Norodom Sihamoni, and the Queen Mother Norodom Mononet Sihanouk are departing from Cambodia to China for the health checkups on the morning of the August 28th, 2023. Typically, the King and the Queen Mother go for health checkups in China at least twice a year. Whether the King departs for China, the President of the Senate assumes the role of the acting head of Senate as per Cambodia's constitution. So Chum, the current President of the Senate, will serve the acting head of the state until the King's return. Their departure for health checkups this morning follows the King's attendance at the First National Assembly meeting, where he presided over the swearing in of the Parliament members and the new government officials. Prime Minister Hun Manet will be at the airport this morning to meet and extend his best wishes and bid a farewell to the King as he departs for China. Prime Minister Hun Manet became Cambodia's 33rd Prime Minister on August 22nd, 2023, after forming the government and gaining the support of the National Assembly members on the same day. Since Cambodia became a constitutional monarchy in 1992, it has had three Prime Ministers: Prince Norodom Ranadit, Prime Minister Hun Sen, and now Hun Manet. It is the son of the former Prime Minister Hun Sen. Over the past 30 years, Cambodia has seen three Prime Ministers. The King constantly supports the Prime Minister of Cambodia, such as Hun Manet, who warmly welcomed him, extending his congratulations and granting him the title of Kete Tisapi Ba Bonet, or Honorary Governor Doctorate of the Royal Academy of Cambodia, signifying a person with deep knowledge and wisdom who leads his administration to keep country prosperous. We can see the King is still talking now to the former Prime Minister of Cambodia, Hun Manet, with the Queen Mother speaking for the former First Lady Hun Rami as they're heading towards the plane. And then we can see in line the former National Assembly President, followed by the new First Lady of Cambodia, with the new Prime Minister Hun Manet standing beside her as they slowly approach the plane. So this is since Prime Minister Hun Sen had resigned from government, this is his first outing for a greeting, as we know that his son has now taken over as the Prime Minister and will now attend future engagements. So today basically is Hun Manet's first official attendance after the held last week, the first primary parliamentary meetings at the Peace Palace. As we can see, Say Chum, the President of the National Assembly there, Hung Samrin, Tia Bung, Kun Sondari, Heng Samon, Men Samon, Heng Samrin. So there's quite a few delegates there are present as the King departs and the Queen Mother depart for China for their regular checkup, which usually they go twice a year and occasionally the third time. So you can see that they're very well respected, the royal family, and the respect they have for the government as well. We saw the king this week, last week, swore in the members of the new cabinet and also the National Assembly, and everyone is pretty well respected. That the former Prime Minister Hun Sen and the former First Lady attend the farewell for the King and the Queen Mother for their medical checkup, and also with the new Prime Minister Hun Manet. So whenever the King departs for China, the President of the Senate assumes the role as acting as head of state as per Cambodia's constitution. Say Chum, the current President of the Senate, will serve as acting head of the state until the King's return. Their departure for health checkups this morning followed the King's attendance of the first National Assembly meeting, where he presided over the swearing in of the Parliament members and the new government officials. Prime Minister Hun Manet will be at the airport this morning to meet, extended his best wishes and bid farewell to the King as he departs for China. Prime Minister Hun Manet became Cambodia's 33rd Prime Minister on August 22, 2023, after forming the government and gaining the support of the National Assembly members on the same day. Since Cambodia became a constitutional monarchy in 1992, it has had 3 Prime Ministers: Prince Norodom Sihanouk, Prime Minister Hun Sen, and now Prime Minister Hun Manet, who is the son of the former Prime Minister Hun Sen. Over the past 30 years, Cambodia has seen 3 Prime Ministers. The King constantly supports the Prime Minister of Cambodia, such as Hun Manet. He warmly welcomes him, extending his congratulations and granting him the title of Kite Tisa Priba Bondit, or Honorary Governor Doctorate of the Royal Academy of Cambodia, signifying a person with deep knowledge and wisdom and his administration to keep the country prosperous. So the King and the Queen Mother have now boarded the plane where they'll depart for China for their regular checkup they do to China, and we just see now the former Prime Minister there with the First Lady, so former Prime Minister Hun Sen with his former First Lady, as they wait and depart. And to the right hand side of him we can see now the First Lady standing next to the former First Lady. Then of course the head of the Fruny Sikh Party also attending the departure. Yeah, the former First Lady, and we can see the former Prime Minister, so the Prime Minister talking with the President. So we're just going to head over back to our reporter on site, Hun Sen. So over to our reporter, Sway Watt. Sway Watt.
Yeah, Anthony.
Yes. How are we going? So we have quite a few delegates here today. We have the Prime Minister Hun Manet with his wife, and then the former Prime Minister Hun Sen with his wife, and also the former President of the National Party also attending for a special event today.
Yeah. What we call is the High Supreme Council of the King. Because of the former Prime Minister of Cambodia, Hun Sen, the former National Assembly, Heng Samrin, also the Deputy Prime Minister Man Samon, Deputy Prime Minister Saw Keng, and they all come here today to meet with the King, and on the day that the King departed from Phnom Penh to China for his health checkup. And right now we can see this the former Prime Minister of Cambodia become the President of the High Supreme Council of the King, and the former National Assembly President becoming the ordinary President of the High Supreme Council of the King. And we can see other more like the President of National Assembly, President of the Senate, and also the High Delegate of the Royal Government of Cambodia that coming to the attending here today. But there are no people like the we can say that the big four, that the former Prime Minister Hun Sen, the former National Assembly Heng Samrin, the Deputy Prime Minister Saw Kheng, Deputy Prime Minister Man Samon, and Deputy Prime Minister Tia Banh. Five people that used to be the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister of Cambodia, now becoming the High Supreme Council of the King. And they are attending here today with the Prime Minister of Cambodia, Hun Manet, and also the President of Senate, Sai Chum, that, and the President of the National Assembly, Khun Sadari, also arriving here to meet and make a wish to for the King on his departure to China. And you can see behind me right now the airplane starting to boot its engines up, and soon it will take off from Phnom Penh International Airport, heading to the China for heading to the China. Then in the airplane is the King of the Cambodia and His Majesty Queen Mother already take a seat in the airplane already, and so it take about 3 or 4 hours for King to arriving in China, and after that we will be making the news of the King, and so we will be delivering you to on our website that they usually do in the previous. But the important thing today is, like you say, is the first time that the former Prime Minister show up in the public, and also the other 4 Deputy Prime Ministers show up in the public for we can get a view from these the former Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister and the former Deputy Prime Minister that coming here to the Phnom Penh International Airport today.
So do you know how long the King and the Queen Mother usually go for China for their medical checkups? It seems like we're having trouble. The plane engines are too loud for Sawat could hear me again. As Sawat did mention, there's quite a few delegates there. So the plane's just about to take off, so we'll catch up with Sawat just a bit later on. The Cambodian King, His Majesty Norodom Sihamoni, and the Queen Mother Norodom Monadit Sihanouk are departing from Cambodia to China for the health checkup on the morning of August 28, 2023. Typically, the King and the Queen Mother go for health checkups in China at least twice a year. Whenever the King departs for China, the President of the Senate assumes the role of the acting head of state as per Cambodia's constitution. Sai Chum, the current President of the Senate, will serve as the acting head of the state until the King's return. Their departure for the health checkup this morning followed the King's attendance at the First National Assembly meeting, where he presided over the swearing-in of the Parliament members and the new government officials. Prime Minister Hun Manet was at the airport this morning to meet and extend his best wishes and bid farewell to the King as he departed for China. Prime Minister Hun Manet became Cambodia's 33rd Prime Minister on August 22, 2023, after forming the government and gaining the support of the National Assembly members on the same day. Since Cambodia became a constitutional monarchy in 1992, it has had 3 Prime Ministers, Prince Norodom Sihanouk, Prime Minister Hun Sen, and now Prime Minister Hun Manet, who is the son of the former Prime Minister Hun Sen. Over the past 30 years, Cambodia has seen 3 Prime Ministers. The King constantly supported the Prime Minister of Cambodia, such as Hun Manet. He warmly welcomed him, extending congratulations and granting him the titles Kete TCP Ba Bonte, or Honorary Governor Doctorate of the Royal Academy of Cambodia, signifying a person with deep knowledge and wisdom who leads the administration to keep the country prosperous. We can just see the plane now on the runway ready to take off with the King and the the Queen and Queen Mother, and we could just see the former Prime Minister Hun Sen and former First Lady Bundami also attending, Thi Bang, Kong Sundari, Men Sam On, Sai Chum, Heng Samrin. Also, just some of the delegates which have at the airport to bid farewell to the King and the Queen Mother while they go to China for their checkup. Sorry, what else a reporter on site had mentioned, it is something they do at least twice a year, and it's been something that's been ongoing, as even from the former King also used to go to China to go for their checkups. So typically the King and the Queen Mother for the health checkups in China for at least twice a year. Where the King departs for China, whenever the King departs for China, the President of the Senate assumes the role of acting head of Senate of Cambodia's constitution. So Chum, the current President of the Senate, will serve as the acting head of the state until the King's return. Their departure for health checkups this morning followed the King's attendance at the first National Assembly meeting, where the President presided over the swearing of the Parliament members and the new government officials. Prime Minister Hun Manet will be at the airport this morning to extend his best wishes and bid farewell to the King as he departs for China. Prime Minister Hun Manet became Cambodia's 33rd Prime Minister on August 22nd, 2023, after forming the government and gaining the support of the National Assembly members on the same day. Since Cambodia became a constitutional monarchy in 1992, it had 3 Prime Ministers, Prince Norodom Ranariddh, Prime Minister Hun Sen, and now Hun Manet. Over the past 30 years, Cambodia has seen 3 Prime Ministers. The King constantly supports the Prime Minister of Cambodia, such as Hun Manet. He warmly welcomed him, extending his congratulations and granting him the title of Kete TCP Ba Bontet, or the Honorary Governor Doctorate of the Royal Academy of Cambodia, signifying a person with deep knowledge and wisdom who leads his administration to keep the country prosperous. We can see all the delegates there standing there as they bid farewell to the Prime Minister, the King and the Queen Mother, Monadit, T-Bang, Kun Sundari, Men Sam On, Say Chum, Ken Samrin, the former First Lady Bunrami, the former Prime Minister Hun Sen, and of course next to him it would be the Prime Minister now, Hun Manet, as they all bid farewell to the King in their departure, where he'll be heading off to China for a short time for medical checks. That's something that the King and the Queen Mother do at least twice a year. But while there, they're not only getting their checkups, they also are promoting Cambodia to China and vice versa, where they do spend a bit of time with some officials. Last year, the President of China, Xi Jinping, also gave a medal to the Queen Mother, Her Royal Highness Monadit, for also the support and for promoting China to Cambodia. It looks like a pretty hot morning there this morning. They've all got umbrellas there and got a bit of waving of the fans and pieces of paper. So then they'll all head off. So this year, with the new Prime Minister, Hun Manet, attending basically his first time as a Prime Minister, he also has 2 other big things coming up this year with the next month, in 2 months' time in November, with Independence Day, then of course with the Water Festival and Chon Ben. So some of the big things that are coming up. Last week they did mention and release their new Pentagon strategy and released Phase 1. So there's definitely a lot of things that are coming up with the new Prime Minister of Cambodia. You can see all the delegates there standing there waiting for the plane to depart, with the King and the Queen Mother heading to China for their medical checkups, as they do twice a year and have for quite a long time, even going back as far as the former King. You can see in the Cambodian government plane heading off now. and the King usually goes just for his checkup and return within a couple of weeks. It's something that they do quite often, and it's nothing too serious. The Cambodian King and His Majesty Norodom Sihamoni and the Queen Mother Norodom Sihanouk Sihanouk departed Cambodia to China for their health checkups this morning on August 28, 2023. Typically, the King and the Queen Mother go for health checkups in China at least twice a year. So you just see the plane is now departed. So all our guys will give you the updated news throughout the day. The team will have more up to date. You can see us on www.eacnews.asia. You've been watching EAC News Live. I'm Anthony Ellis. Thanks for watching.